And us now. What's up, guys? We are live, and welcome to yet another weekend stream from BFB with me, your host Kevin, and also your host Adrian. As you can see, today's topics, we're going to talk about what Elon, Jack, and Cathie said in the B Word conference. I watched a whole thing. It was quite fascinating. We're going to talk a little bit about BlockFi troubles with regulators, plus their credit card that I got. We're going to talk about Uniswap banning certain tokens from their front end and what that means for decentralization. And just like usual, going to kick off with a look at the markets. But like I said, this is our weekend stream. We try to do every weekend. Sometimes we can't because we have stuff pop up, but it's our time to meet y'all and chat with you guys about what's on your mind in the crypto space. So it's a little bit more like free flowing. It's not as like fine tuned and lean as our normal video content, right? This is more free flowing. We're going to take a look live at these topics and just share our unfiltered thoughts. And also for those of y'all joining us afterwards, not on the live stream, I will try to add the timestamps later so you can jump around to these different sections if you want to see what we think about each topic without looking at the rest. But let's start off with a look at the markets, like we always do. A really brief look while we let people trickle in. There is a lot of green, actually, if you see this. One sec. Let me close this.
Oh, we are even at 34,000.
Yeah, we've been going up. We've been going up quite a bit. It's kind of surprising, but so of course I always DCA, but I also have some like cash I sold higher that I really wanted to like get some orders filled in the mid 20s. I would love for that to happen. But right now it's going up, though with lower than usual volume. So that's the thing. I mean, doesn't mean it can't go up further, but just something to point out. So Bitcoin is above 34K, Ethereum above almost at 2.2K. And one really interesting poll that I did in our Facebook group is this one. If you see here, okay, I asked people, how confident are you that Bitcoin will drop below 30K again? I asked them this like yesterday. Vote below. We got a lot of votes. But I want to hear from y'all in the live chat. What do you think? Just type it in there real quick if you don't mind. So somewhat confident is 50 to 75%. They think will drop below 30K. That's what I voted for too. Less confident, 30 votes. That's 25 to 50%. 0 to 25, not confident at all, 29 votes. 75 to 100% very confident is 20 votes. What is your, if you had to choose right now, Adrian, which one which bucket would you be in?
I think 50 to 75%, somewhat confident.
That it will drop below 30K. That this is just like
Yes.
a little bounce. A bounce, but not the start of a strong, sustained uptrend.
Yeah, I think that's slightly more likely than
Yeah,
the other
I hope
scenario.
so. Though I was thinking, what would be maximum pain, right? Maximum pain would be going to 40K and then dropping under 30K. Because I would like feel
Also,
serious
some
FOMO if it started pumping to 40K.
so that's a very likely scenario.
Dang it. That would suck. That would suck. And this is where momentum trading sucks too, because momentum trading works very well in a clear uptrend and a clear downtrend. It can make you a lot and protect your capital. But when it's chopping, that's when you bleed capital. And I do momentum trade
Yes.
a little bit, and it's been chop, right? So I've been bleeding capital, so I stopped it. But I would feel very, very bad if it like rocketed a lot and then never came back down. So that's always the possibility with that. But let's see
Yeah,
what the people.
but you do a dollar cost average anyway, right?
Yeah,
Regardless
yeah,
of price.
yeah, exactly. Not confident at all is what my Arlin7 says. Alrighty, so like I said today, we're gonna talk about the B word conference thoughts, BlockFi, Uniswap, and anything else you guys have on the live chat. And by the way, if you don't mind right now, if you're watching, please smash that like button. That would help us out immensely. And definitely subscribe if you haven't already. So, okay, let me take a look real quick. Let's start with the B word conference, right? This was held by ARK Invest, hosted by ARK Invest, Cathie Wood's firm, if I'm not mistaken. And she is the perfect one to bring both Jack and Elon to the table, because her firm invests in Bitcoin itself, of course, invests in Square, Tesla, and
Well, she invests actually in both the CEO's companies
exactly.
and in Bitcoin.
And I know a lot of people hate on Cathie, saying that she's lucky or whatnot, but she made high conviction bets in both Bitcoin and Tesla and some other ones that ended up rocketing. Now, whether or not it rocketed for like good fundamental reasons or whatever is, I guess, another debate. But she did make high conviction bets, and it did pay off amazingly, making her one of the best Wall Street performing funds
Yeah, but
in the entire street.
there's a lot of research that goes into that because ARK Invest regularly comes with well-written reports, as far as
Yeah,
I've seen.
yeah,
So
they do a lot of report and a lot of research, but I think what people don't like, what rubs some like traditional Wall Street folks the wrong way is that she kind of speaks more about like innovation and like the future and like the grand vision of the things that she wants to invest in. That's a little bit more like roping retail newbies into her funds per se. They and they don't necessarily think she has like the like deep analysis of some other like really famous investors per se. So
yeah,
that's
perhaps. But she's probably doing more research than most of the other companies on, for example, the crypto markets.
And what's really interesting is I looked into her background, and she actually has a like economics and finance background. That was her background. So
Yeah,
keep that in mind. And let me screen share a bit. Okay, so let's take a look and just chat about what each of them said. This is a great notes by CMS intern, so shout out to them.
so who was the host actually?
It
Was that
was
someone you know?
Moneyball. It was Moneyball,
Moneyball.
Steve Lee. Oh, Square
Stephen.
Crypto. He works at he works at Square Crypto, which is the like Square funded working on Lightning Network. I believe they're working on Lightning Network like SDKs or something like that, like for to make it easier to build on top. If I'm not mistaken. But this is a great summary because I listened to it, but there was a lot of points. Um, so so Jack is a Bitcoin maxi. He only likes Bitcoin, but he makes some amazing, strong cases about it. He's like, let me see if I can remember what he was saying from memory. He's saying that when he was building Square, he was like trying to make it easier and abstract away like the complex foundations of the financial system, like the credit cards, the ACH, all that stuff is like complex and slow, takes like several days to like settle, et cetera, et cetera.
Ancient technology.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, we're gonna set out to write software to make things easier and more abstracted for other people to build on top and utilize. But when he said when he saw Bitcoin, he a light bulb. It was a light bulb moment. He was like, this is our chance for humankind to replace the foundations altogether. And so that's why he loved it. And yeah, so he says it's not controlled by anyone, of course. You can verify yourself. And he met a girl from Ethiopia trying to build Lyft for Ethiopia, but no digital payment system. So that was very hard for her to do that. But Bitcoin fixes this. And let's see. Okay, so let me scroll this up to see if you guys can see it better.
Yeah, because most people in Ethiopia don't have bank accounts at all, and usually aren't able to get one because they lack ID papers, so they wouldn't pass KYC rules, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of the thing in countries like Ethiopia.
So Cathie went next, and her stuff is more from the economics and financial side because that's her background. And she said she was working with a professor who, like, in 2015, so a while ago, she's like, hey, I rewrote this like paper on our thoughts of Bitcoin. What do you think? He's like an old professor, right? Like really old, like 80s by now. And he's like, this is BS at first. But then later he came around. He's like, wow, this is really the first rules-based monetary system ever. Like rules that you can't just set arbitrarily. And so they were like, this is a huge idea. So she got in early too. Cathie got into Bitcoin in like 2015. It's earlier than most of us, most of y'all watching too, most likely. So she also pointed out like store of value role, of course, but to think about how it will evolve into a means of exchange and unit of account, and that it could be as big as the U.S. monetary system, if not larger. She also made a really interesting point because we always think about Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, right? But not all analysts are like in agreement that we're going to see massive inflation, at least in the States. She has a more interesting theory. She thinks that we're actually going to see deflation in the States, but that's going to be accompanied by hyperinflation elsewhere in the world. So I'm not sure exactly like all the links between that because I'm not an economics guy, but it reminds me of the dollar milkshake theory that I heard of before. I don't know if y'all heard of that before. It was pretty famous. It was spreading around the Bitcoin space like a year ago, but basically saying like the dollar is going to gain in strength first before it like, because it sucks in liquidity from other countries that aren't dollarized, essentially. But anyways, it reminds me of something similar. And she says that if we have deflation here and hyperinflation elsewhere, that's also still going to be good for Bitcoin, because in countries that like Venezuela, Argentina, what else? Greece, Turkey, something like that. I don't remember. Countries like those will increase in popping up, and that Bitcoin will work well for both if we have inflation here and even if we have deflation here instead of inflation in the next few years. So that's quite an interesting point. And let me just take a quick look at the third person in the call is just a just like an avatar, an empty avatar, bronzy gold model. Pointed out that Satoshi wrote the white paper while many were still using the modem. Yeah, 56K internet connection. That's a great point, Eric. I think that's what the debate about big blocks. It's in that debate is going to be they're saying that that's the beauty of Bitcoin, right? That you'll always have open discussions and debate about the foundations. Like we say that we think that the market has spoken in terms of the BTC style instead of Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV. But like as new people come in, as new people think, as things change, potentially as contexts change, people might rehash the big block debate over and over again in the future.
Let's not hope so.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the point, right? There was um, a big debate about like layer two being great for Bitcoin, but Elon was saying that there is some merit in his mind of having like increased block size and throughput on the base chain. And then I guess the argument against that is that it's like hard to run a node for everyone if it gets too bloated. Like you need fancy equipment. But then another point in the puzzle is that like our computers, hardware, throughput, bandwidth, that's all getting like better and better and faster and more. And so that might not be like too huge of a concern in the future. So that was an interesting debate. And he also said one thing that's really interesting is that Elon said, he said he pumps, but he doesn't dump, that he did not sell any of his personal Bitcoin, and that he also owns a little bit of Ether and, of course, Dogecoin. Definitely Dogecoin because he's the Doge loving king. But
Yeah.
he said he owns
He said
mostly
like,
Bitcoin, never sold. And he said that he only owns public stock in Tesla and then Bitcoin, Ether, and Doge. No other investments or assets. I mean, he doesn't even own houses anymore. I don't know if y'all remember, but he sold his big houses
oh
or
yes,
mansions, and now he lives in like one of those mini construction things. I don't know. I forgot the term for that, but it's like those mini like rapid houses that you can spin up in like a day or something. I forgot what it's called,
is that
but
is it like temporary?
well, he lives in there in Austin because they wanted to like rid themselves of that much like worldly stuff. I don't know, something like that.
Oh, but
But
that's his explanation for it. It's not like a temporary thing.
no, he wanted to live in these more like
Oh,
minimalist and lean things.
oh, interesting. He, he
Um,
he sold all his houses to buy Bitcoin then, right? Or Dogecoin.
yeah, and they're like, why do you like Doge? They asked him why he liked Doge and what Bitcoin couldn't do that Doge could do, and he said he likes Doge because they have the best memes. They have a dog, and he loves dogs too. And he said that um, there, like, there was the phrase that his friend told him, like, maybe the most entertaining scenario or the most ironic scenario will be
Ironic,
the right
yes.
one. Yeah. And so he's like, in that case, Doge would definitely be the most ironic or entertaining scenario if Doge took
If
over.
if that theory holds, I'm not sure if there are any other examples of that, but
Yeah,
if
but
that
that
theory holds, then Dogecoin definitely is.
definitely exactly. And they also talked a lot about like how their companies can help with Bitcoin because, I mean, Cathie straight up invests. Jack is working on like the hardware wallet, Square Crypto, which is like open source funding kind of, and then his new company or new product TBD, which is like whatchamacallit. It's like helping developers build stuff on Bitcoin, like DeFi apps on Bitcoin. So maybe he'll do what Rootstock couldn't. I don't know why Rootstock never really took traction, but maybe they can do better. And let's see. Oh yeah, and Elon said he also loves Doge community's irreverence, which basically means like they don't take themselves too seriously and they don't care. They're not
Right,
going
right,
to.
right.
And Jack Dorsey also said that's what drew him into Bitcoin. But I will acknowledge that Doge probably is more like lighthearted and
Yes.
carefree than Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is
Yeah,
like the grand
Bitcoiners
mission.
definitely take things very seriously. That's for sure.
But they have the grand mission, right? Of what is it? Of like fix money, fix the world, pretty much. Let me see. One sec. Ah, okay. Here's more. There's more. There's more. I forgot. One sec. Let me just take a look at the live chat real quick. Hello, everybody. By the way, if you don't mind giving us a quick like, that would help us out immensely. Satoshi. Okay, what's up, Kason? Second layer solutions are underrated. Yes, 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 Eric. And Adrian is currently working on a piece about the Lightning Network. So we are going to give y'all an explainer of the Lightning Network for those who haven't looked into it, and an updated look at it in 2021. So I'm really excited about that one coming out soon. Not this coming week because we already have our things rolling out, which is VeChain and the story about Binance versus regulators around the world. You're going to love those two, I promise you. And the week after is going to be Lightning Network and something else that you'll have to stay tuned for. So yeah, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. We have S. Peters from the Netherlands. He's writing to you in Dutch. If you
Absolutely,
if
yes.
you want to respond to him in Dutch too, you can. Feel free to.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's already
Okay.
we we already did it through hand signals,
Oh, okay.
just
I
to
see. I see.
acknowledge because he recognized I was Dutch, right? So
For sure. For sure. Okay. So back to the story. Back to the B word conference, folks. So yeah. Dang. Why is this? Is it just me or is it? Okay. It's like a little bit blurry down here. Not just me. It's just the picture in general. So right now the renewable energy usage is over 50%. Um, but also that dropped because like miners went offline from China and whatnot. So it might not hold. We'll have to see. But Cathie also was like, "Hey, did you see the paper that Square and Arc wrote on, like, basically making Bitcoin mining a utility for overage of renewables?" So that's what Cathie and Jack were kind of arguing that Bitcoin incentivizes renewable energy and incentivizes a lot of innovation in terms of like getting the most efficient energy possible.
yeah,
Um,
I got a strong feeling, and some other people also acknowledged this, that Kathy and Jack were mostly being very polite to Elon to straighten out some misunderstandings about things that he was tweeting out, right? And some of that had to do with the energy usage, which is, yeah, for most Bitcoiners already an old topic. But yeah,
yeah,
since Elon brought it up again, and actually I was a bit, yeah, I'm like, why are we talking about if Tesla is accepting Bitcoin? I mean, that's like, do why is that even a
who
thing that we
cares?
should be
Yeah.
worried about?
I
You know,
mean, no one is even going to
if he
pay for their
wants,
Tesla with Bitcoin. I mean, maybe like one or two people or a few, but like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think it makes as big of a difference as like what El Salvador
yeah,
is doing, for example.
exactly, yeah, absolutely. And El
Um,
Salvador will probably uh, be trying to implement more of Lightning Network to make the whole thing work there in El Salvador.
I mean, they have to, or else fees are going to
Yeah,
be astronomical for the
exactly.
merchants.
Because
Um,
Jack Mahler, who is working with the
yes,
president,
exactly.
he is innovating on the Lightning Network, so they're probably going to have some solution for that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll see what research you come up with, but one thing with Lightning, if I'm not mistaken, is that you it's like more private, right? So within channels, you can't see what's going on from the outside. So
Yeah,
that may have some
so I've heard.
concerns.
Yeah, so I've heard that it has the potential to be more private, but there are still some vulnerabilities in that aspect with Lightning Network. So it's definitely not guaranteed to be private. However, I believe with Taproot, that's,
Yeah.
from my understanding, that has created some extra possibilities to improve also the privacy on the Lightning Network. But I might be mistaken about this, but that's something that I heard people talking about.
Yeah, I mean, privacy is good for us end users, but the people were bringing up the potential lack or the potential increased privacy through Lightning channels as something that might piss off regulators in terms of like
Yeah,
money transmitter licenses and things like that. So
yeah,
we'll have to keep
that's
our
that.
eye. That's something that maybe you can touch on in the research.
Yeah. Yeah, Eric is also saying that El Salvador should educate their citizens before they launch crypto. Seems like most of them don't understand and feel the government just trying to do something shady.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
a great
I, I,
point.
I read an article this week that there are even protests against the Bitcoin bill in El Salvador. So it
Actually,
definitely has some opponents.
I saw an update article that said that that was like a media narrative and like it was just like a
Oh,
few
of
dozen
course.
people
I should have
and
fact checked it.
not like not well basically they said that the article made it seem that people were like lining up the streets and like protesting that, but it wasn't like that bad and like most
Oh,
people
I wasn't
don't care
thinking
that
that. No,
much.
yeah, I didn't got that from the article either, right?
Oh,
Just like
okay,
people
okay.
voicing their concerns and yeah, being against
But I mean, they don't
the
have to use it, right? Per our
exactly.
understanding,
That's
if anything, they
exactly.
just get $30 if like for free.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
would love that if I were them. Like, give me my free $30 in Bitcoin. Heck, yeah, that's awesome. Why
Yes,
not?
exactly.
Okay,
And there is the possibility to exchange immediately once you accepted it uh, uh, with the payment system to immediately convert it to US dollars. So it shouldn't be that much of a problem. But I do see Eric's point that people might not be educated enough to use Bitcoin responsibly, right? With
exactly,
security and everything. So yeah,
exactly.
that's a good point.
So ESG, this is
Oh
doesn't
my god.
affect us, but affects corporations. Environmental
Yeah.
social governance. A lot of corporate like money managers care about this. And Cathie was making a strong case
Well,
why.
bureaucrats are caring about that. So now money managers have to care about that too.
Right, right. But Cathie was making a case why Bitcoin is good on all three levels, right? She says for energy, incentivizes cleaner energy. For social, it's like payment, access to payment tech and savings tech, or like a Bitcoin network for people around the world, for the unbanked. That's good for social. In governance, it's like super transparent and not hidden behind the scenes like a lot of other pipes in the financial world. So she was making her best case that corporate money managers should embrace Bitcoin for ESG reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last part, if I'm not mistaken, is there another part? Oh, dang, there is more. Okay. There's a few more. Okay, there's a few more. So let me scoot this up real quick for you guys. Okay, can you see this? Yeah, I think you can see this. So, yeah, so Jack said that he was very skeptical of corporations and they're great vehicles for a lot of the things they do, but Bitcoin is not that. Like I said earlier, Square Crypto is like just open source funding per se, no profit interest. And they're letting Bitcoin devs do what they think is best. And they're also creating a hardware wallet that I would actually want to try, to be honest, myself at least. They're going to build it in public, so it's completely open source. And Elon is also a big fan of not keeping things on exchanges. I mean, that's like we all know this, right? But he
Yeah.
says that any wallet that doesn't give private keys should be avoided. You don't have the private keys, you don't own anything. Let's see what else. Okay, so what role can you play in Bitcoin? ARK, of course, is um, just investing Bitcoin a lot. Coinbase, they bought so much Coinbase. They own like over 1%, maybe even 2% of all Coinbase shares, which is enormous if you think about how big of a company it is. Um, so, so Jack talked a lot about Blue Sky, which is like a decentralized version of Twitter that they're still seeing like how to do it properly.
Yeah, because now Twitter just gets like many other social media companies too much government interference, right? With they got to ban this and they got to do that.
Yeah, and if you
So
think about
it's
it,
more difficult to to operate a social media network
it,
if
it
governments are even giving conflicting demands, right?
and it's like a lose-lose too. Like
Yeah,
if you ban people, people get mad. If you don't ban people, people get mad. So he wants to
exactly.
like
And
build
not only
this.
the people get mad, the government gets mad too
Y-
if you ban or
Yeah,
don't ban.
exactly,
It's like you
exactly.
get only enemies.
Exactly. So he wants to build this blue sky and be like, I'm gonna put it out there. It's not my under my control. You guys do what you do with how you want. So I think it's gonna be really interesting to look at that. And also, when I research decentralized social media, there's some other versions that don't have like a. It's still distributed, but it's not like a blockchain nor token involved. I forgot the name. There's like a really promising one that's been around for a while. But
Mastodon?
basically, yes, I believe so. Or maybe another one that's its top competitor. But if I'm not mistaken, how they do it is that you can run your own like servers or like front ends per se. So everything like exists, but different communities can decide like what they want to show and how they want to show it and set their own rules. So everything will exist, but you can like join or leave depending on like how you align with. So that's I can't envision any other way to do it besides something similar to that. But maybe they're smarter than me, so maybe they'll invent something, a
You
new
have to
structure.
distribute it.
Yeah,
You have to distribute it, or else if there is any centralized control, it's going to have massive government influence and other political pressure or otherwise pressure from lobby groups to yeah to
yeah. And Jack always said that Bitcoin could be the internet's native currency, so he was seeing how Twitter could get involved too, like with Lightning Network or whatnot. And Elon said like, could you like kind of push Jack on how Twitter can integrate Bitcoin, but Jack was a little bit like a non-answer per se. But like Elon said, don't get me wrong, I do like crypto, and he does wish that Bitcoin will succeed. And he also
yeah, or
said,
else he also loses money, he said.
yeah, government is just a corporation. It's the biggest corporation of all, and it has a monopoly on violence. That's why
Exactly.
they don't like Bitcoin, because Bitcoin reduces
uh,
that monopoly
they
on
don't like
violence.
corporations, and if you don't like corporations you should definitely not like government. That was the argument here.
Yeah, okay. Um, Elon, some of Tesla's bank account in Europe has negative interest rates, drives him crazy. He'd put those into Bitcoin. Actually, I don't remember hearing that part. I might have missed that part, to be honest. I only watched it once,
Yeah,
though.
I did someone say here. Yeah, I believe I heard him say that about negative interest rates. Yeah,
Oh, you know what was really interesting? When Elon and Jack were talking about Bitcoin, they said that money at the end of the day is an information system that like tells you how to distribute like labor or something
right,
like that,
exactly.
which
That's the
I
most
never
basic.
thought
Yeah,
about it that way, but that makes so much sense. And basically, they said that their hope for crypto and Bitcoin is like a better information system for that purpose.
Let's hope so. But that's basically what it is. That's right.
So Jack is definitely the Bitcoin maximalist of the group. He says he envisions hopefully that it creates world peace by like second, third order effects and whatnot, and by fixing a fundamental problem of society. Like that's a Bitcoin mantra, right? Fix money, fix the world. Cathie is a little bit more on the tech side, and she likes like blockchain too, and AI. I mean, she's like the innovation fund, right?
All right.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. But that's it. This was a fascinating conference. I know some people didn't like it, but I really enjoyed listening to their banter. And let's take a quick look at the live chat real quick. B Word annual conference? No, actually, I think it was an impromptu conference based on a tweet. Like like Jack posted something and then Elon commented like bit curious, and then or Jack posted the B word or something, and then Elon agreed to join to hop on and chat. Hi
That's right.
Stacy.
They invited him for a talk via Twitter.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so next up is the BlockFi news, which has been rolling in faster and faster these days. It even rolled in. Okay, let me show you guys. Let me just pull this down. Okay, so remember how it started with New Jersey a few days ago? Then Alabama rolled in. The state financial regulators have pretty much been battering BlockFi. And if you don't know BlockFi, they are famous for their interest accounts. You can deposit Bitcoin, crypto, USDC, stablecoins, and earn interest. Like it was more before. Now it's like I don't remember, 2% annually or something. But for the stablecoins, I believe it should still be more. Like I don't know. I'm just tossing out numbers, like something around the 6%, 7% range. But now Vermont has joined them, and they're saying that BlockFi has violated local security laws. And I have a really great thread I want to share with y'all, but let's take a look at this like high level what happened real quick. So they're facing scrutiny from a fourth state. They're saying if whether the firm's marquee offering, the BlockFi interest account BIA, violates local security law. They have countered saying that they say they do not think it believes BIA is a security, and it's in active discussions with regulators on the matter. And it's really interesting because the Howey test is how they define, right? It's like investment, price go up, common enterprise, other people's labor. I'm like butchering that, but it's like those four pillars or something. And um yeah, let me one sec. Let me
Yeah, it's a surprising position, I have to say. I mean, I'm not sure how they are justifying, how the regulators are justifying that position, because I'm not aware that savings accounts would count as securities, to be honest.
yeah, that's
I think it's a bit
exactly
of a stretch.
so that's exactly the thing, right? Like Howie had to do with orange trees. Like people would buy orange trees and
Yeah, it
then
would
other
actually
people would manage it
invest
for
in
them
companies. Yeah.
and then take the fruits of the labor, like literally. But people were saying like while orange trees and oranges are not securities, the deal is a security. And there's a case to be made on both sides. I think this is amazing discussion right here. Let me pull this up. This is really interesting discussion. So Preston Byrne, let me see. He's a
But is that a
lawyer.
good faith? I mean, is it that would that something like that be a good faith interpretation of what the law actually intended to do? I mean, if
Yeah,
savings accounts are now securities too, I mean, what else is going to be securities? You know,
exactly. So there's a
it's
twist.
really not good faith in my in my gut feeling.
I agree with you, but I think the legalese might have them in trouble because BlockFi was there's like a couple different ways you can frame it, right? You can say it's a loan, like you're giving a loan to BlockFi and then they can do whatever they want with it on the other end to
Yeah,
generate.
that's what banks do too. If
Yeah,
you
it is.
deposit banks,
It is. Or it can be seen as a product that you buy. That they end up like. Yeah, here let me go through this thread and then we can get your further thoughts on what they say. Okay, so quick Twitter then. This is a partner from the Anderson Kill law firm. I love their name, and they're definitely one of the leading crypto firms that we know of. Okay. Securities Act. Okay, security is yada yada. Security also means investment contract, which is a contract, transaction, or scheme involving the investment of money into a common enterprise with the expectations of profit arising from the efforts of a third party or promoter. That's Howie. Okay. Alabama and presumably New Jersey appear to be taking the view that the BIA, this is the BlockFi interest account, is not an account but rather a product. And notice the terminology Alabama uses in their cease and desist order. BlockFi allows investors to purchase a BIA. And this is what you said similarly, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but he says, well, bank accounts sound an awful lot like that too. I hear you say, I put money in, I get money back. Well, as with Howie, the most famous case among crypto nerds, there is a Supreme Court case. Allow me to introduce to you Marine Bank versus Weaver, 1982. The syllabus of the case. And he was saying that BlockFi's issue and their argument appears to be a more interesting discussion than the ICOs who are like, hey, I'm selling you an ICO and it's not a security because of its utility. He's saying that that's like BS, but this one is different. This BlockFi's case is different. The TLDR is that a bank deposit account or certificate of deposit CD, though performing many of the functions of securities, is not treated as a security under the federal security law due to the intent of Congress and the near zero default risk due to application of federal banking law. I'll hold my tongue for now as to which way I think those will go. What will be interesting is if regulators' opinions would change if, say, Bank of America offered a Bitcoin savings product versus this situation where a private company is selling a Bitcoin investment note.
but is that what it is?
I guess it's the part they have to hash out in court potentially. Note that this does
Bitcoin
not
investment note.
Note that this does not mean that all Bitcoin denominated loans are registrable securities. Right? Okay. One area which needs to change is the treatment of cryptocurrency deposits at fractional reserve crypto banks. So that is Texas joins the party. No way the feds are sitting this one out. So this doesn't mean that Bitcoin or Ether or any of the other crypto that they make these accounts, these interest accounts for, are security, but the regulators are arguing that the overall interest account, how it's structured, how they write out the legalese in like the terms and conditions, the regulators are arguing that makes it a security. But the other case is that it's more similar to like a bank deposit account or like a CD per se. So that is
It really looks like acting on bad faith, to be honest.
I mean, I hope that they can be lenient for this, but it looks like they're going to have to like potentially hash out a big legal case for this.
Yeah.
But that is their marquee product. But just want to give a quick shout out. By the way, we are BlockFi partners too, and if I'm not mistaken, I left like a waitlist link for their BlockFi Bitcoin cashback credit cards. First in the world, by the way. First in the world. This is not a prepaid crypto debit card like the crypto.com one. This is cashback. So I've only been using this restaurants, clothes, Amazon, whatever. It doesn't matter. I use that because I want cashback in Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, heck, who doesn't want cash back in Bitcoin? Give me that rather than fiat cash back.
So you're spending a lot of money on your credit card to save as much Bitcoin as you can, right?
Well, I would be spending them anyways, but instead of getting fiat cash back, I want Bitcoin cash
exactly.
back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hello, Mind Your Biz. Eric says regulators will first regulate the avenues investors use to shelter from capital gains tax. Yeah, that is potentially true. Stacy Friedman, smells like BS. I've signed up on the waiting list. Thank you, Dave Douglas. And by the way, thank you all so much for joining us. If you don't mind hitting that like real quick, that would be super duper appreciated. What's up next? Let's see. Okay, Uniswap. This one came out recently too. Okay, where is it? So they were a little bit afraid of Uniswap is a decentralized exchange. I'm pretty sure most of y'all have used before. I mean, I know I have. And so remember
but apparently
how
not so decentralized after all.
well, well, I guess let me give a quick context first before I chat with you about that point. Remember how Binance like got in a lot of trouble for their stock tokens, right? So Uniswap was kind of worried about that because Uniswap, you can trade anything. It's an open protocol for DEX, for swaps. So they were worried about that. And even though they're decentralized, they still live and serve customers in like the States and other regulated places. And so they deleted pretty much access to synthetic stock tokens and derivative tokens, citing, quote, evolving regulatory landscape. And before we share our own take on this, let me just give you guys the ground look real quick. So yeah, what the heck?
So how decentralized are you as an exchange if you can do that?
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that, but okay, so they took out more than 100 tokens. It include tokenized stocks, mirror stocks. Oh dang, mirror stocks. So that means, oh dang, that means my injective protocol probably did bad in mirror protocol because that's what in synthetics. Those are all like tokenized assets, like stocks and stuff. Dang, I may have to sell those. Options and derivatives. Examples include Tether Gold, open options on ETH, synthetics products, tokenized versions of Zelda, Mini Mario Cash, UMA dollars, stocks like Mirror Amazon and Mirror Tesla. The new SEC chair, Gary Gensler, recently cautioned the crypto industry about securities offerings in tokenized form. It doesn't matter whether it's a stock token, a stable value token backed by securities, or any other virtual product that provides synthetic exposure to underlying securities. So that's what they were scared of.
A stable value token backed by securities. Would that also be short-term debt papers like Tether has?
I don't believe so, but I may be wrong. That doesn't seem the same to me. But so here's the thing, though. Uniswap, the smart contracts itself is still completely open and decentralized. I mean, perhaps besides like, I don't know if they have an admin key or multi-sig key or whatever, but that's not the point of this. Their protocol, it's still completely open. their front end is centralized. So they control the front end, the app.uniswap.org or whatever that is. But what's funny is that people were talking about like anonymous teams, like truly anonymous teams, um, like coming
Making
out
another
and
front
making
end.
this. So someone ripped the Uniswap front end, like they just copied it and spun up their own website without these new restrictions. They just did that in like, I don't
Mm.
know, half a day. I mean, you're literally copy pasting and removing a few lines of like code, right? So yeah, I mean, that's, though I would be a little bit worried about using those personally in case
Yeah.
there's some like unsafe stuff. But people were saying, someone was saying, are we all moving to Sushi Swap now? Because remember, that was the clone of Uniswap. And yeah, actually, I'd be really interested to see how all those tokens are doing. Not only the synthetic ones I was mentioning, but also Sushi Swap.
So the so-called securities-related tokens, they are still available on SushiSwap then,
Well, Sushi
you
Swap is
think?
more of a decentralized team. It's like completely, they didn't raise or anything like that, if I'm not mistaken. So
But
Uniswap is
on
still
their front
up.
end.
Yeah. I don't believe Sushi Swap removed those. Okay, so Uniswap is,
Uniswap is up 7% today, according to Dave Douglas, and that
it is.
after
What?
relatively bad news.
Sushi Swap is up 0.49%. It didn't rise at all.
Oh,
Oh
or
wait,
maybe
I need to
the
zoom
the
out.
gain is already gone.
I mean, it didn't. Yeah, potentially wasn't
We
that
don't
much
have
of a
the
gain.
candles there,
But
so
okay, let's
we
see
don't
what
know if
else.
there's any wicks.
Okay, so um, mirror protocol. Let's see if this got a, what happened to this. 5%. Okay, nothing that crazy. This is the one I own, Injective. I mean, I thought those tokenized like synthetic assets. Wow, this went down quite a bit too. Okay, but it's still not. What else? What else? Synthetics was the biggest one. Synthetics, 4.31%. Okay. I mean, this looks like normal altcoin market behavior. I'm not sure that news is like priced in, or maybe the market just shrugged it off for these. You know what bothers me though is that, okay, so now we see a real strong reason for anonymous teams so that they don't have to worry about like the SEC going after the team for building a decentralized product. But I don't like anonymous teams because that means they can just like rug pull much more easily.
Or exit scam.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like, you know,
Because there was a long time that we were warning, like, be careful of anonymous teams because most of them are scammers, which they were. However, if you actually want to be really decentralized, then yeah, you should have an anonymous team, obviously, similar as nobody knows who Satoshi is, right?
yeah, exactly. So Thorchain, if I'm pretty sure, has an anonymous team, but they had a lot of smart contract problems. They're the cross chain swapping between like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, cross chain swaps, and they got pummeled, like worse than most other altcoins, even 20 to like 3. They got pummeled hard, and they suffered a lot of exploits and stuff. And people were saying might have been an inside job. Who knows? I didn't follow that closely, but yeah. Let's take a quick look at the live chat. We're about to.
Yeah. Eric says something that you mentioned in the beginning of the live stream, that prices are increasing with low volume.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what Eric thinks about that. If he
I
has an
am
opinion on.
curious what Eric thinks too, if you don't mind letting us know. Let's see. Hello, bullish Kenny G. Confused on how taxes will work with crypto. Assume that everything is taxable except buying and holding, and not trading and not selling and not getting interest. Only the most basic and simple stuff, like just buy Bitcoin and hold. Don't do anything else. That is not
And which is
taxable.
also the least effort.
That is not taxable. But assume that everything else will generate a taxable event, which is why I stopped. Which is why, unfortunately, I stopped experimenting with stuff just because I didn't want that hassle later. Like I'm like, yield farming sounds interesting, but do I want to figure out how to do taxes on that later? Absolutely not.
And
Absolutely
register
not.
every single transaction and
I
everything.
mean, the software helps you with that, but like, I did a lot of random stuff in 2017, 2018, like ICOs, DEXs, whatever. I did a lot of stuff, and it was such a pain. It literally took me 50 hours. I'm not exaggerating here to reconcile all of that because they're like
And that,
things didn't match up. They're like, where did this ether come from? I had to trace it back to like separate exchanges, and then I had to manually trace it back. And I had like thousands of transactions. So let me just put it that way. It was even with the
I
software.
hope it was worth it.
Well, at least now I can sleep more soundly. That's kind of what it's all about. It's like, hey,
Yes,
look,
but there was no monetary advantage
nah,
compared to the time you were.
it's for like sleeping more soundly, so the tax man won't be like, hey, you owe us. I'll be like, hey, I've been reconciling this pretty much perfectly.
So the gains weren't worth your effort.
Yeah. Let's see. Uni's up 7. Sushi.
Eric
Okay,
says increasing prices with low volume generally a good recipe to short longs.
that is true.
Short-term longs, I presume. Short-term longs.
To short longs, I think, like to
To
short the
short
market.
longs.
To short the market.
Short
Um,
longs.
yeah, I don't know.
I,
Maybe.
I'm assuming he means short-term long positions.
Okay. Well, he can let us know. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, I think that's about it. This crypto company's Cas1 Casone. Wait for you and your response. What response? we
Let
do
me.
care. We do care about y'all, but uh,
Coinbase are pricey. I think George from Crypto R Us pushes that company. George Wink. I
eating.
think he's referring to that comment, but
Oh
not
yeah,
sure what he means in that.
crypto Coinbase is pricey. I mean, use Coinbase Pro or some other exchange with lower fees. Short-term long positions. Oh, leaving breadcrumbs to the trap. Interesting.
Mm.
All right, guys, that's about it. We'll end exactly on time today, almost 1 minute to there. Let me take a few minutes afterwards to leave timestamps. But if you don't mind subscribing, liking, we would greatly appreciate it. Next week, I actually think I'm out of town, so no live stream then, but the week after should be good to go, and we'll see y'all again. Love chatting with you guys as always. This is always so much fun. So catch you on the next time.
See you next time. See you. Bye.